Hi everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Front Row here on Economy.lk. Today I'm in conversation with the leading CEO of a multinational company. Her name is Maud Meijboom-van Wel, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Heineken. Maud, welcome to Front Row.
Thank you.
Heineken has been in Sri Lanka for maybe the last 2 decades. How would you rate Sri Lanka as an investment destination compared to other countries that the country operates in? The company operates in?
Oh, we start light. Now, if you look at Sri Lanka at the moment, there is opportunities to catch up. I think if you look particularly Southeast Asia, countries like Vietnam, they have developed so much. Vietnam also is one of our biggest operating companies, and we just opened a massive brewery supplying over 50% of our beer volume there. So what they do is they stimulate innovation. They stimulate things that lead to sustainability. They create an environment where indeed people can develop and grow. Taxation, the right legislation. We also discussed it with peers before. There are a couple of opportunities where Sri Lanka can quickly adjust, and in partnership with private companies could get back on that on with their peers, because if you look at the macros, there's a young population, educated, there is digitization, there's high literacy. If I look at the team that I work with and I compare them with teams from other operating companies we have in Asia Pacific, I think, the level is very good. So if the legislation, the taxation is favorable, innovation is stimulated, Sri Lanka can get back on track.
So what you were talking a lot about is the ease of doing businesses for firms like yourself. You mentioned a few as well of how we can reform. Any other options or reforms that the government can do in this aspect to make it easier? Because as you said, Vietnam, it's very much a plug and play, given that they've done a lot of the reforms in the last 2 decades. How can that be? How can we improve that for Sri Lanka?
Yeah, I think there are 2 things, and in my previous role I was responsible for the Heineken brand for all of Asia Pacific, including New Zealand and Australia. But if you take it to Sri Lanka, the laws that we have to work with are still 150-year-old archaic laws, and what people knew back then, we know so much more now. So it is things like, how is the category that you operate in defined? Is it defined in a way that it stimulates innovation? No. If you look at what is happening globally in the beverage industry, categories are blurring, and all global players are jumping on that occasion. If you have wine players going into craft, you have spirits merging with beers. There's so much, and things like moderation, zero alcohol consumption, all those things could potentially also happen in Sri Lanka, and then Sri Lanka could be exporter for markets that do not are not able to do that in their markets. So we could export. So that is one thing. I think also sustainable packaging innovation, localization is another opportunity that MNCs and other companies can play on. And if that is stimulated by favorable taxation again from the government, that would be very good.
Just switching gears from the business environment to something we're seeing a lot now because of the economic crisis. We've had waves of migration of talent, and of course that has led to a diaspora that is outside of Sri Lanka, some who are very much in touch with Sri Lanka, some who've come back and set up companies, in particular in the IT sector. But now we're seeing the new wave due to the crisis, and we've seen a lot of countries that have gone through sovereign debt crises like Sri Lanka going through this. How is your firm dealing with it? I know no two firms can deal with it very equally as well, And how can other firms and business leaders who are watching here learn from your experience or your firm's experience? And I'm sure it's a continuous learning experience as well.
For sure. But I think it's very important to be daring to people. In the end, we need to deliver results. But daring also is clarity, because if you say, hey, this is what you do, people should ask why. So be very clear on how people can contribute, how can they contribute to the success of your company. And then being clear on how will we support you? How much will we increase the salaries? How much do we give in care projects? We have given over 85% of our staff a bicycle, push bike, to get to work in the midst of the fuel crisis. I would never think that I would be giving out bicycles, but supporting communities, because also the local families around the brewery are impacted. So giving the financial and the dry ration needs, that is part of the care project. Then daring and caring is also how do you guide your talent. And for me it is a bit easier being a multinational, and as I said before, the Sri Lankan people are educated and they have seen what's out there. So if I compare the talent that I work with talent from other companies, I think there is a huge talent bed possibility. So I'm very clear with my people, hey, you are now here. If you want to become a sales director or a marketing director, this is what you need to do. And I will help you do that. So I will become an ally. And then I have my network internationally and say, hey, I've got someone that would be a brilliant senior brand manager. Could he or she do a role with another operating company of Heineken abroad? Take that knowledge back after a year and come back. So talent management is a bit easier being a multinational. And then lastly, I think building culture, company culture. I'm from the Netherlands. Everyone is in the Netherlands. I think the moment you can walk, you are also taught to raise your hand if you have an idea. But stimulating that, making sure that all people in the company have the fair, equal opportunity to grow and develop, but also that all ideas are heard, I think is really important. And that evaporates hierarchy, it stimulates entrepreneurship, and also people are very proud then to work for the company and they can see, I can contribute on a global scale.
Thanks so much, Maud. I think those were very candid views on a burning topic right now, which all firms are facing, and how you are practically dealing with it. And I think even understanding from an MNC's point of view of why Sri Lanka, why still Sri Lanka, I think that's very reassuring to hear some of the things. And I think for those who are working in the policy space and even in some of the other firms, what really needs to happen on the ease of doing business, because that has been an agenda in the last 10-15 years which the private sector has been pushing for, but we've not seen too much.
No, I think if I may jump on that, I think and even yesterday at the opening of the economic summit, the address of the president, we need to play hard as private companies. I'm not afraid of good competition, but it needs to be a fair game. And I think there is a big opportunity for the government also to create that fair, competitive playing field and allowing all manufacturers to have an equal opportunity and allowing consumers to have choice.
So there you have it, the consumers, the public watching this. I think this has been an enriching conversation, and stay tuned to Economy.lk for conversations like this with experts on the economy, business leaders, to explain some of the key concepts, key trends to you at home.